Speak.
We did this right now. We are having a fair housing observation, a fair housing fair on April 5th at the Girl Scout building, and it'll be from 2 to 6 in the afternoon. So we welcome everybody to join us, and we will have the Southwest Kansas Board of Realtors is assisting me in putting this on. So if you come attend, learn something new or find out about what we do. And we'll have insurance people and realtors. So everyone's invited to come. That'll be our housing observation.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
All right, next item up on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would like to draw the Commission's attention and the audience's attention to agenda item number 11, which is a wastewater copier at the request of Chief Financial Officer for the city, Chris Ford. That will be removed from tonight's agenda.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the amended agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the March 8th regular meeting minutes. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, I'd request a motion to approve as presented.
Your Honor, I approve the motion to approve the March 8, 2016 regular meeting minutes.
So second.
All right, to have a motion by Commissioner Carlisle with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next item is agenda item number 4, which is items from citizens. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to address the Commission on non-agenda items? All right, we do have one. I'll read the rules of the Commission as he's coming forward. The rules of the Commission state any citizen desiring to address the Commission shall be recognized by the chair, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address in an audible tone for the record. Presentation shall be limited to 5 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the Commission. The Commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The Commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the Commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Please state your name and address in an audible tone. Each that will speak will have to do the same.
I'm John Smith, here in Little.
I'm Gary Warden.
We're here to raise a question regarding the city mowing policy. And the reason Gary is with me, he has been mowing for property that our company manages for, he tells me, nearly 25 years. The question in particular that prompts us to come here is that, and it's been quite some time, we thought it was taken care of, but in July of 14, we received a bill for some mowing that Gary, on property that Gary has been taking care of for years. And it was a bill for 5 hours of mowing. And so when I got it, because it was addressed to Tree Street Development, I asked Gary about it, and he was surprised, was not aware. And the property in particular in question is the area, about 30 acres between 11th and 15th Street from Park Lane Towers, New York, east to Calvert. And Gary's been maintaining that. So when I asked him about it, he was not aware of it, indicated that the only fresh mowing that he had seen at the time I asked him about this was maybe a pass along the curb in the right-of-way in the area west of New York, which is now where the Village at the Plaza property is. So being surprised, he checked with the city. He tells me he talked to Larry Masteller a couple of times with Corey Krause. I had a conversation with Corey Krause myself about this. In each of our cases, it was indicated that there was probably an error. Somebody maybe new on a mower or something they did not explain, but it gave us the indication that it should be taken care of. And we thought it was. It was not until just the reason of time lapse, it was not until just last month that for other unrelated reasons, county treasurer had sent some tax adjustment notices, and on one of the properties it had $310 bill that appeared to be this same issue. And so when I mapped it out, it was in the northeast corner of that property. Gary had indicated he'd never seen a mower up there that wasn't his mowing. And so that's really what brought us down here, is how and why something like that would happen or should happen for somebody that has been in the city. He knows people and knows mowers, been out there for years maintaining property. We've never had issues before, and we don't think this was handled right, especially having both of us been told that it should be taken care of. So we just wanted to apparently bring it to your attention to the fact that relying on staff in these instances apparently didn't work, so we thought the commission should be aware of it. We think a refund is due, but looking forward, I think it's something that we know that there is abuse and that there can be problems, particularly with wet weather and weeds. But when somebody is attempting to take care of their property, we think if this is the way it's normally handled, it's not proper and should be looked at, because people that don't abuse the, a telephone call or something, we have Gary that's been taking care of it for years. I don't want to abuse my 5 minutes, but that's why we're here, to make you aware of that and express what I have expressed. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Gary, do you have anything to say before I?
I'm just saying that, can I see that a bit? Just, I'm going to show you something.
The map?
The map, when John T. got the map, why, and
Well, there's the Google, and here's the map.
this, you have a hard time seeing this, but here's the property we got the taxes on, and over here's the property they said they mowed.
Okay. Well,
So
both gentlemen that you've mentioned are no longer with the city.
Excuse me?
Both gentlemen that you have mentioned, Mr. Masteller and Mr. Kraus, are no longer with the city, but I assure you that we will definitely do our diligence in
We can't help
researching
that.
I know you can't, but again, we have to bring current staff up to speed on with what is going on, and we'll definitely check into it and
I bet it's
find an equitable.
$310. I bet it's $310.
As far as, I'll look into it, I believe back when that happened, and I'm not sure the location that was removed. I don't know if this is an additional charge. What was explained by Corey in that, the normal fee is $150 per lot. And that's
Well,
where,
the statement says $150 showing up, $40 each additional hour. So in this instance, that's how we came up with 5 hours of time.
I think the original what was discussed is the normal fee would be $150 per lot, which there's 20 lots or so. So you can imagine that fee being imposed. It's not how much they mow. It is one of those, if they can mow it, it's per lot. If it takes additional time than 1 hour, then that's where you get the additional fee.
Well,
That 150 is a minimal fee, be it 10 feet of your property or it be your whole lot. But I do know Mr. Warden and I discussed, and that was to be removed on the lots, which I'm not sure where these are. But
Well, that's what we're not sure either. It's not what we were told
And I'll look
at
into
the time, and that's
Okay.
what
just
our
so
concern
it's
is.
clarified, and if that is the case, then that will be removed from your
From the
property tax or your bill.
I'd appreciate you looking into it.
You bet.
I've been there several years, never been penalized, but there's always a first time.
Yeah, and I think we did discuss that.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Any other citizens that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Seeing none, items from groups. Are there any groups in the audience that would like to address the commission on non-agenda items? Again, seeing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda item is number 6. No items have been presented, so we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is the original Town of Liberal Revitalization funding request. I would like to remind the commission that last Monday we had a special meeting with OTLR, and this week we received their financials via email. Any questions concerning last Monday's meeting? Any additional questions for staff or OTLR or regarding those financials?
Did you ever find out who Good Old Boys Construction Company is? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry.
Did you ever find out who Good Old Boys
We did
Construction
not.
Company is?
We did
Okay.
not. No. It's old news, so, it's past, and so.
Well, I'd hate for somebody else to have the same experience.
Yeah,
that
I
you
think
had.
they're all out of Liberal, Kansas, so we don't think we have to worry about them too much anymore, but that's old news, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Any further questions?
Anything else?
Anything else for OTLR or for city staff? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the $25,000 matching grant, or how do you want to word that?
The $25,000 grant, the $25,000 grant out of the special funding requests to come from, was it the housing portion of the 1 cent sales tax?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you guys for coming back. We really do appreciate it. And thank you for what you're doing with the additional housing as well. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 8, which is Resolution 2230, fixing hearing for condemnation of 616 West First Street. To call you by name, but you're this is your first time here.
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing this evening? Okay. My name's Jeremy Durkee. I'm a code enforcement officer with the City of Liberal, and I'm here to present the Resolution 2230 for setting a hearing of condemnation for the property at 616 West First Street.
Your Honor, I make a motion to
Well, can I?
pass the attached Resolution 2230, fixing the time and place for a hearing for the condemnation of the structures at 616 West First Street.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. I have a question. As I talked with staff this afternoon, after looking at some of the pictures, a lot of this structure and structures are, in my personal opinion, after even driving by, an immediate hazard or possible hazard to the residents and children around the area. It's my understanding that the owners have stored several personal property items inside the structure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to see this gone as soon as possible. If we could give her, and this is just my opinion, give the owner a certain length of time to get with the city with a plan, which she has not returned phone calls in several days. But I would like to see this potential hazard, as I'm sure there are rodents and everything else living in this, which creates a health hazard, which could see us bump this up along the normal process, so that nobody gets hurt or disease isn't spread as we come into that.
There's actual natural gas going to it?
No, it's been shut off.
It's been shut off for several years.
There hasn't been utilities since 2014.
But I know this is just fixing a hearing tonight, but
They always took the meter when they shut it off.
man, we're looking at May 10th, and I'm thinking this, and I'll have to defer to legal counsel. Can we bump this up, make it a little bit quicker since it is such an immediate hazard?
Well, if it's an immediate hazard, the code enforcement, I mean, the city has the ability to raise it anytime they believe it's an immediate hazard. So if, notices have to be given, and I'm assuming that this is the first possible commission hearing date in sufficient time to give notice, correct?
That's right. I sent a letter and talked to the homeowner once.
She's
And,
not been in correspondence since then.
No, sir. And she
So-
did receive the letter. I have the
You have the
affidavit.
registered receipt, okay.
You know, if, like I said, if it's an immediate hazard, we have the ability to take immediate action, if that's what.
What is immediate action?
They could start, they could start
go
tomorrow.
And tear it down tomorrow, if they believe it's a safety hazard.
Is there, and if you look on the second page, just want to verify, there is a tree leaning against the structure or up?
Up against the building, is
Yeah,
what it looks like.
it's resting on the west, I believe it's the west slope of the, it's the east slope.
And it looks like, I don't know if those are doors to the sheds that are open, but is the house itself where anybody could enter, juveniles?
No,
vagrants?
both front and back door in the house are locked.
And windows?
The windows are locked too.
I don't know, gentlemen, that's just my personal thoughts and opinions.
We could try, I mean, we could send notice and try to have the hearing in April
I would like that
on
moved up.
an expedited basis.
Personally, I would like that moved up.
So what is this, the shed?
That's the shed, and it's my understanding that inside the house, it is jam-packed full of personal items. Apparently
Who
the
owns the
owner-
property?
Belinda,
Pardon?
the owner. The owner is Belinda Holcomb.
Belinda Holcomb?
Yeah.
And she resides where?
Across the street, there's an empty lot, and then there's a White House next to that. That's where she's staying now.
That she is living across the street from the property, and several attempts have been made to talk to her, and
Yeah, I called her, I inspected the property on the 29th and took pictures and placarded it. She called me the same day, and we ran through all the stuff she would need to do. And I told her to have the utilities turned on by that Monday. I would call her that Monday, and when I did, a message on her phone said, "The person you're trying to reach is not accepting calls at this time. Please try again later." So I called the next day a few times, and then called the next day a few more times, and then nothing.
has someone gone across the street and knocked on her door and talked to her personally, face to face?
No, not since my first phone call, no.
Okay. I would suggest we might do that, but I would like to see this bumped up, just to expedite the process of her either coming up with a plan to come in compliance or removing the structure.
Well, we have a motion to approve the resolution,
Okay.
and if we're going to move the date, we need to amend the resolution to reflect a different date.
Would you care to amend the resolution or keep it at the same?
We have a certain time, we have to publish it twice, and then we have to have 30 days between the last day of the publication before we can have the public hearing. So that's why we've set it in this
But do you-
particular date. But if
so-
we don't go this way, then the resolution would be different, correct?
If we operated on the assumption that it's an immediate health hazard and the city, you know,
So what would you like to see on the amendment?
no, the resolution needs to stand, and then I'll work with city staff the coming few days to figure out what we need to do.
Okay, so we need to leave it at where it
Yeah.
stands as of right now, but like I said, if you drive by, it's bad. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Please get with Ms. McQueen and get some things worked out. Next item on the agenda is agenda item number 9, Police Department body cameras. Lieutenant Rogers.
Thank you. Just going to talk a little bit about what we have and what we're wanting to get. Of course, we have in-car cameras in all of our cars right now. Had those for several years now. Finally, do have their limits. The audio is spotty, going through buildings, things like that, getting out of range. You can't see beyond the front of the car. More and more agencies are going towards the body cameras now because they follow the officer. Want to show a better point of view image as to what's going on. Been a lot of studies showing that they help with reduce liability, reduce uses of force, citizen complaints, and just provide better evidence potentially for prosecution in some cases. We did an evaluation over a couple different systems. We looked at the TASER, who had shipped us 2 different cameras, and the VView system. I tried to get a third system in, but they didn't never send me anything, so I didn't evaluate them. We also looked at cloud service versus local storage, and we found that we liked the VView system better. It performed as well as a TASER in most areas. It was a whole lot less expensive, easier to work with. The software is a whole lot easier to use. We did explore funding for it. So we were able to get funding from outside the normal budget. The initial upfront cost for the VViews is about $11,600. And there's additional fee of $375 per month for the maintenance on it. For this year, all this would be covered by outside funding, either diversion fund or other funding that we've discovered. It would be a budgeted item for the future years, just for the $375 a month, or about $2,985 a year.
Do you have donated funds available already, or you have to go look for them?
No, we have 11,600 donated funds. 11,886, I'm sorry.
11,000 what?
11,886 is donated funds, sir.
They just received that word
Just a couple days ago.
a couple of days ago that they did receive that funding. So there wouldn't be a request from the general fund or equipment reserve to buy the initial cameras. The only request would be that to maintain these cameras through the warranty is to propose the $375 for the remainder of the year.
Yes, sir.
And then we would, during the budget session, budget $2,985 for their yearly maintenance fee. Is that correct, Chief?
What is the maintenance fee for?
With the VView system, you're kind of paying them off in installments over your 3-year period. And that keeps your cameras under a full warranty, full replacement. If something gets broken or whatever, they automatically replace it. At the end of the 3 years, you get all new cameras. That pays for all your software, everything you need.
In this day and age, of course, body cameras not only protect the police officer, but also the citizen as well. I know Sedgwick County or Wichita has body cameras, Garden City's looking at them. Do we or will we have policies in place on the specifics of these cameras and how they'll be used, who can view, just a wide variety of policies that will come into play when these are on an officer or after an incident takes place?
Yeah, in the package, you'll find a couple sample policies, one of them being Wichita PD's, and one of them being the International Association of Chiefs of Police policy. Both those have some good elements in it. I have been working on a policy for us that blends some of the elements of all of those. Something we're going to be reviewing in our department in the near future.
Okay. Any further questions for Lieutenant Rogers?
Does the city commission get to look at this policy, or is that something y'all just come up with and we live with it, or what?
It'll be an internal, but the commission's more welcome to look at it.
Any further questions?
Explain to me again what the $375 a month is for.
Okay, with the VView, it's on a payment plan. You pay so much up front for the deployment kit, my docking stations, things like that. At the end of every shift, you'll come in and you'll dock the camera, and that's what downloads the information to the server.
Right.
And then you pay an additional $25 per month per camera is what it comes down to. With the VView, I'm looking at 15 cameras, snuffed outfit, one full shift. Have some for if we have additional officers out for extra patrols of some sort, SRT operations, things of that nature. and have some back on the charger, so there's another set ready for the next shift. And $25 a camera just gets you the monthly payment on the camera, which keeps it in full warranty and gives you full replacement of it in 3 years.
Well, what's the $11,000 for then? I thought that's for the camera.
That's for part of the cameras. Approximately $7,000 of that actually goes towards a server we have to purchase.
Right. Okay, and you're gonna get new cameras and software and everything for $3,000 per year?
Yes.
Okay.
And that'll cover every officer on duty, right?
Yes, sir, it will.
All right.
All right, any further questions?
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to, I guess all you need is the $29.85 from the city? Is that
We
correct?
need a motion to spend the
Right, starting
donated-
next year.
To spend the donated funds.
Make a motion to spend the donated funds for the
$11,885.78.
VIEW cameras in the amount of 11,000, whatever it was.
886.
Yeah, 886. And also approve the $375 per month for the remainder of 2016, sorry.
I'll second that.
A motion with by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Lieutenant Rogers.
Thank you.
Lieutenant and Chief, if when you get the policy and everything worked out, would you just send the commission a copy of that?
Well, I might add on that, all of our policies are always open for reviewing. We, on policies that are sensitive in nature, dealing with use of force issues, things like that, we always have legal review them prior to implementation or revisions. But our policies, they're open to public records. Anybody wants to view them.
I understand as commissioners, there's a difference between reality and perception. Okay? Without us knowing what we're talking about, it becomes reality, perception becomes reality out in the public. We need to have some way to say, hey, this is not true.
We'll get you a copy of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is agenda item number 10, which is the 2015 ISO Public Protection Classification Survey results. Chief Kirk.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. It's an honor and a privilege to come to you tonight, and not asking for any money, but just bringing you some good news. I think you have a memo from me, probably a letter and a couple of grading pages from the Insurance Service Office. Back October of 15, we had another ISO review, and this just doesn't take into account the fire department. This is the fire department, the water system, and the emergency communications center. And we've now received notification that beginning May 1st of 2016, the city's public protection classification, commonly referred to as the ISO rating, is going to improve from a 4 to a 3. And we'll be at that number going forward, apparently for a very long time because of our score. This is good news for the community as a whole. What this means is in a community with, as the letter states, a good ISO rating, fire and casualty insurance premiums. A lot of insurance companies use this rating to set their premiums, or at least in the calculation, so it means generally lower fire premiums for persons insuring businesses or homes in the city. This could be another tool in our economic development toolbox. I'm sure when businesses look at Liberal and see an ISO of 3, that's reassuring to them, and they will probably enjoy lower insurance premiums going forward. And then just the overall benefit of having a safer community because of a good fire department, a good solid water system, and an emergency notification system like the 911 center. All these pieces of the puzzle are what make up the ISO rating. It's kind of a vague and hard to understand thing. I do want to make sure and say this is not just a fire department deal. Kudos go to Calvin Burke, Wally Lamone, and the entire water department for their work, and also Pam Johnson and all of her personnel at the Emergency Communications Center, because they were graded and they provided information during this process, just like we did. The grading scale remained the same. This was different than our last ISO rating back in 2009. We were graded on a scale of 100. Now it's a 105.5, and there's 5.5 points of extra credit, which I'm proud to say, Liberal Fire Department, we scored 3.6 out of that 5.5 points. And those things are very important to us. We talked to you in October. We'll be here for Fire Prevention Week. Our fire prevention programs get rated in that. Our public education, the fact that we have fire codes and do business inspections and enforce those fire codes, and then the fact that we maintain certified fire investigators who can determine cause and origin of fires, those all rated into that. So we earned 3.6 points of the extra credit, so to speak. So we scored very, very well this time. The rating for a Class 3 is a score of 70 up to 79.99. We scored 79.08, so we are solid in the Class 3 category, and it would be catastrophic for us to slide back to a Class 4. And with that said, also a Class 2 is still within reach. I'll say this, I would rather be a 79.08 in a solid Class 3 than an 80.08 and barely a Class 2 and have something happen and backslide 3 years from now and have to come up here and tell you that we lost our ISO rating. I'd rather be where we are today and keep doing the things that we do to work towards solidifying a Class 2 if we were ever to reach that. Because really, fire protection in a community is a balance of the amount that the citizens are willing to pay for the risk that they're willing to accept. And that's what it all boils down to. We could be a Class 1 if we put a new ladder truck in all 3 stations and 8 firefighters on duty in all 3 stations. We could probably score pretty high, but that would cost a tremendous amount of money to do so. And the last thing I'd like to say is back in 2009, I stood here before you with the good news that we went from a 5 to a 4, and I told you that there were things that I felt like we could do. We took that last report and we used that as our playbook for the last 5 years to try to improve our rating. And I told you then I could see some things in there that we could do better as a fire department that were low or no cost. And those were documentation of our training, our hydrant inspection and testing when we go out and flow test the hydrants and we're putting the water on the ground and rusting up people's water, those things, and then also inspections and pre-plans. And in all 3 of those areas, I think if you look at that scoring sheet, you'll see that we improved in all 3 of those. And I want to give some thanks to the guys that work for us at the fire department. Here tonight, our Deputy Chief Skeety Polton, Fire Marshal Cody Regier, our 3 shift captains, Reagan Dreitz, Jose Torres, and Brian Fornwalt, and our lieutenants, Austin Nash, Tyson Rice, and Warren Hedrick. I'm sorry, Warren, if you're watching. But those are the guys that sit in our officers meeting with me every month, and if you were to ask them, there's very little that we do at the fire department that we don't at least cast an eye towards or give some consideration to what will this do to affect our ISO. And those guys are the ones who are taking the manpower that they have available to them and making sure that it gets used wisely to go out and do fire inspections and hydrant testing and still be ready to do emergency response. Those are the guys that, where the rubber meets the road, that make this thing tick, and they're the reason we scored 79 points and the reason that we have the ISO rating that we have, and we'll look forward to enjoying that for years to come.
And we'll take this playbook and work towards the next ISO rating.
Can I ask some questions?
We certainly will, absolutely.
Credit for dispatch circuits. We got a .97 when you got 3. What can we do to increase that?
Let me make sure I got my numbers in front of me here.
That's under emergency communications.
Right. In 2009, that was rated on a scale of 4.05 out of 5. The entire grading changed, and this time it was only rated for 3 points, and they only gave us .97 of that. As I understand, that has something to do, and I would have to get with Pam Johnson to verify this, of if our 911 or our radio signal for, say, a city fire department went down, there needs to be some sort of a warning to let them know that this frequency is down and not working. It needs to be some sort of an alert tone that tests it every so often, and when it detects a fault, gives them a warning. So I think Pam will be working towards correcting that.
Okay, on credit for company personnel, we got a 5 out of 15.
That's simply the number of firefighters that we put in the stations. Right now, we staff each 24-hour shift with 6 full-time firefighters, and that's the credit that we...
They want more than that?
Absolutely. We, for the number of fires and the number of calls that we experience here in Liberal, Kansas. We staff our stations essentially, I wouldn't say with skeleton crews, but with the minimum that we can, because we staff the North Fire Station on 15th Street, the South Fire Station on Pine, and now due to FAA regulations, we staff to the best of our ability. We staff 1 firefighter at the airport station. So we're taking six personnel and spreading them out among 3 stations, 1 at the airport when we're at full staff, 2 at the South Fire Station and 3 at the North Fire Station. When the alarm goes off for, say, a residential fire call, 2 guys will jump in a pumper at the North Fire Station. The officer on duty will get in the pickup and respond to that call. The 2 guys at the South Station get on a truck, and the 1 guy at the airport brings his truck, and we're out the door, and we've spent every single on-duty firefighter that we have just getting the trucks to the scene, and we've still left our ladder truck and our heavy rescue uncovered in the station. So I say this all the time when I speak at civic groups and things. We can handle easily, not easily. We do well with residential fire, commercial fire for 1 alarm, but when you set a second alarm on top of that, say we're at 1 fire and we get a second house fire, which has happened, albeit rare, happens here, and heaven help us if we ever had a 3rd fire, we'd be definitely mutual laden with Stewart County and probably surrounding towns to bring in additional people. So,
I want to commend you on your hard work.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. Thanks to the entire staff. All right, next item up on the agenda is agenda item number 12, since we are foregoing number 11, mowing equipment. Mr. Beard.
Why do I gotta follow a guy that speaks like he does that for a living?
Former radio guy.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, back in July of last year, when we talked about our budgeting process about buying quantities of mowers, we've tried to do that this year. We've got every department that's getting a mower and put them together, met with the vendors, and in your packet is pretty much what we've come up with as far as mowing equipment to meet our needs for now and in the future. And I'm ready to answer any questions if I can.
What are we looking at as far as warranty?
Warranty's 2-year, unlimited hours, which is kind of standard across the board.
On all 3 of them?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And can I'm going to just brief you on how many departments. Airport's getting 1, Arcalen's getting 1, Parks is getting 2, Golf's getting 2, Water Department, and the ball complex.
What is Arcalen getting?
72-inch rider that they do the campground and everything with, and they've set money aside the last couple of years to pay for their mower.
And we'll continue to do so.
Does that replace the old Ford tractor that?
That replaces the 72-inch Jacobson that they have. And I think what they're going to do is convert that to a
brush hog.
Yeah, kind of a. They're gonna mow their trash with it, with their old 72, and mow the campground area and maybe some of the better trails with the newer one.
Okay.
I like several things about this. One, that you're buying, I mean, the mowers will be virtually the same as you and I have talked over the last couple of weeks. You're buying local, and you're also helping out a fellow Kansas company that has just recently undergone some tragedies there in Heston. But as far as stocking parts, you were telling me a local bidder will ensure that there will be parts for these mowers in stock, and the wait time to repair a mower, if something should happen, will be minimal.
Right.
And I mean, and all the mowers are the same. So, I mean, that's, you know, bringing the fleet to a commonality will be good.
Yeah, like I say, good job. I looked at some of the mowers last year and they're pretty worn out, so I think we need them.
And we've gotten a lot of use out of the ones that we've
Then you can get the parts right here from a local guy too. So.
Yeah, and they've been great to work with. I mean, he sat down with a group in every department that was getting a mower, sat down and kind of we told him what we needed, and he accommodated us. And he assured us that if whatever Hustler doesn't have on hand would be 2 to 3 weeks, and we'd have our mowers as far as these new ones. He thinks they'll have most everything on hand already.
But we'll get them
fairly quick
for
yeah.
mowing season.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you've started mowing. I know the golf
Yeah.
course is mowing, airport's going to be, starting to hit the mowing already.
The parks were mowing parks today, and I know the ball field's been mowed already.
So it is mowing season, as my wife can attest to.
Mr. Mayor.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner.
I make a motion that we approve the 9 mowers to Keating on the amount of $131,130.
I'll second that.
A motion by Commissioner Carlisle with a second by Commissioner Martinez. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Brad.
Staff thanks you too.
Thank you, Brad.
Next item on the agenda will be agenda item number 13, Housing Authority Board appointments.
Your
Debbie?
Honor and Commissioners, the Housing Authority has a vacancy on the board as a result of the expired term for Jennifer Milan. Jennifer was originally appointed to fill the unexpired term of Mary Betty Tabor, and that was to expire the end of this month. She has consented to be reappointed, and the board is recommending that she be reappointed for a 4-year term ending March 31st of 2020.
Were there anybody else that had applied?
No.
No one else?
This is just a reappointment. They don't have any other resumes.
As for a motion then, Commission?
I'm going to make a motion that we reappoint Jennifer Moen to the Liberal Housing Authority for a 4-year term ending March 31st, 2020.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor Aragon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Harrison. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item is agenda item number 14, Arcalan Council request.
Your Honor, Commissioners, at the Arcalan March 3rd meeting, Todd Bradley with the Flatlanders Archery Group approached the board about having a 3D bow shoot at the park. The first weekend we're open, which is basically 2 weeks from now on April 2nd. He told the board that this was a family-oriented event. They would choose a trail to have this on. We would close the trail like they do at Mead Lake. They would set up about 24 life-size trap or targets that they would shoot at. Probably expect up to 30 people, maybe 40. The lowest number they've ever had is like 20. Anyway, after they left and we asked some questions, pulled the board, and we had 4 people for it, 1 person against it. So basically they've consented to give this a try, and they wanted the commissioners to give their blessing on this event, knowing that a few years back this was brought to the board and it came to the city commission. It was sent back to the Arcalan Council, and they denied it because it appeared to be hunting, and hunting is not allowed on city property. But the board would like to give this a try. We've got new board members, and they do have an insurance, and we just kind of like to give it a try and see if it'll work. We're trying to be more family oriented. We had the Arcalan Assault out there last year, very well attended, and we just think this plays into the mix of the park. Just ask for your blessing.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consideration for the Flatlanders Archery Group to hold their 3D bow shoot event at Arcalan Park on April 2nd.
I second that.
A motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Commissioner Carlisle. Any further discussion?
I went to Meade a couple of years ago and went through that deal with those guys, and they do a good job putting it on, and they're all.
And I've also talked with staff that work out there as well, Mr. McPhail and Mr. Mann as well, and they were okay with it as long as they policed themselves and cleaned up after themselves. And I think if they want to continue, they will be their own best internal police to make sure that everything goes well and it doesn't get messed up.
And I don't think that's going to be a problem.
I don't either.
The way they do it, and the nice thing about it is a chance to showcase that park out there, which we need to take advantage of every chance we get. The more people we get out there, and I think it's an ideal place for this type of event. I just think it'll be well received.
Till they have that life-size statue of Dave Harrison out there, right, shooting it.
Yeah, that's probably what they've been shooting at.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
I could have put in there that we could take some Dorothy's out there.
Yeah. Reading my mind.
Thank you, John.
You'll be shattering arrows, so. All right, thank you, Commission. Next item is agenda item number 15, Ms. Giske, Air Service bid results.
Okay, at the last meeting, I handed you out a preliminary set of the bids that we received and wanted you to look them over because we were going to be bringing this back to the next meeting. On February 29th, the DOT accepted bids for the Essential Air Subsidy Program. This will be starting August 1st of this year for a 2-year program. This was for Liberal, Hayes, Dodge City, and Garden City. Liberal and Dodge have been working together for a few years here with the consultant Sixel Consulting out of Denver area to help us attract air carriers that might be interested in bidding on our service. I guess it was a month ago or so, we went to Front Range Airport, and that included Jeff Parsons, Commissioner Martinez, and myself, and we visited with 4 of the airlines, 3 of which bid, and 1 that we had seen in 2014 also bid. So you've seen the bids, and this is no monetary impact on the city, as this subsidy goes to the air carriers, not the city. So you've got here the proposals that we have. Peninsula Air, also known as Pen Air, is offering 2 round trips per weekday, 1 per weekend, in a triangular pattern with Dodge City, going to Denver in a 34-seat Saab airplane.
Deb, is that all the flights are going to be
Triangular? Yes,
Okay.
We also had a bid from Boutique Air. They would offer 18 nonstop flights to Denver. They also had another bid for 18 to Dallas-Fort, oh, that should be Fort Worth instead of Fort Worth, excuse me there, spell check. And that's in a Pilatus PC-12. It's going to be an 8-seat airplane and very sharp looking. They have leather seats. It's really nice for those companies that do charter aircraft. One of the downfalls I'm hearing is that it's a single engine, and a lot of business travelers will not go on a single engine. They would prefer to have 2 engines, so that's something to consider. They did, when I talked to the DOT, they would, if we went with Boutique, they would like to see in the 2nd year of the 2-year program, they would like to talk then about possibly having 1 flight going to Dallas-Fort Worth and the other one's going to a day, 1 flight a day going to Dallas-Fort Worth instead of all of them going to Denver. But we'll just see how that plays out. We also got a bid from ADI and Via Air and Great Lakes, and you see what those bids are. We would like your consideration after visiting with the airport board, talking with Dodge City, and talking with our consultant. The recommendation is that Peninsula Air is our best bid, and to go ahead and make a recommendation to the Department of Transportation that they be our air carrier. Of course, that decision is all based on what the DOT makes. We're just making a recommendation. This will be submitted. It will be put on the website for everyone to see. So we're not sure what will happen with Great Lakes when they see that what we recommended. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Well, I'm not interested in Great Lakes anymore. I don't think they kept up with theirs.
I'm hearing that a lot.
There are too many people stranded.
Anyway, I'd like to answer any questions you have. I know it's a lot of information to give you.
As we talked this afternoon, there is a possibility that Great Lakes could stop service once this does hit the airwaves, but
that has happened in the past at other communities.
And that might afford us a cooling off period to where people are upset with Liberal air service, and they would say, okay, then we can really promote and market the new carrier, and Pen Air talking reliability. Have you heard pros, cons on their reliability?
They have a very good completion rate, 98%.
Okay.
Well, I know they make a Saab car, but what's a Saab 340? Is that a jet or what?
It's a twin-engine jet, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you, fellow commissioners, I went with Debbie and both of them two are good picks. Penn Air was really interested in promoting Liberal and getting the service back. And so was Boutique, and I liked them both. Boutique with the option to go into Dallas, Fort Worth was good. So I think them top two were good picks. We actually got to see the Saab plane.
No, we got to see.
No, that
Boutique.
was the Boutique's plane. Saab was supposed to
Sat
come.
in a Pilatus.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There's one comes out here all the time.
Right.
I don't know who they.
I don't either. There was one last week.
It's a bigger plane,
Fire
too.
chief had seen the Saab and he wanted to know if that was Penn Air, and I said,
34.
no, it wasn't.
34 passenger plane?
34.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be different.
Between Dodge and Liberal, I think we could fill that plane up if we
And-
just gained back the
Trust of the community.
trust of the community, right?
Now, side note, employees that are currently working in the terminal, has any of these companies expressed interest in retaining the local employees?
I think they would give that consideration. They didn't say they wouldn't, so, I've asked that question, I guess they would be willing to do that. They're gonna have to have ground staff to work the flights and do the.
Why are we not going with Boutique? They're giving you more flights. Well, I'm looking at this.
It's just it's 8 or 9 seats is basically it, though.
And the single engine.
They have to give you more flights for the seats.
To move the same amount of people, they have to have more flights.
And then the single engine status as well.
Yeah.
And people won't fly on the single engine at night. I mean, big companies won't let their people fly.
Right.
I think it's going to take us a while to regain the trust of the people, but I think, we saw 10,000 employments not that many years ago.
Yeah, 2013.
So I think once we get a reliable air carrier, I think we could see that, which in the grand scheme of things is more money from the EAS for airport improvements.
Option 3 and 4, those are regional jets. The two, the ADI and the Via Air are regional jets. Well, I don't know.
Didn't
about-
Garden City go to Dallas?
Yes, sir.
And they've got a regional jet. And that would be a 50 passenger. So I'm not sure that we're ready to jump from a 9 passenger all the way up to a 50 all in, just real quick. I think let's see if we can get the passenger loads up, and then I think we'll be more willing to look at a regional jet in 2 years.
In 2 years.
Yeah. And
Instead of Dallas, you think we can go to someplace like Kansas City or Chicago or, something?
Something that offers a
Kansas
choice.
City-
Something
Kansas
that
City
offers
was
a choice.
discussed, But they're, you've got to get there in a good time during the morning to get your connections. And that's not always been happening in Kansas City.
My
But I
understanding,
think there's other options we can look at.
am I not mistaken, has Garden City not had reliability problems also with their
They've
carrier?
had some issues with it, but not as much as
Not as
our
much as
current
we
one
have, of
is.
course. So, okay. Any further discussion? And ultimately, the decision will rest with the DOT.
And I would simply send in the city's recommendation that we go with Peninsula Airways, if that's what you would be willing to do. Or if you'd want the mayor to sign that, you can, whatever you'd like to do. I think the mayor has signed the letter in the past, but it's a recommendation from the city of Liberal.
And when would we know, I know we're going to be in DC in a couple of weeks, but when would we know if DOT says yes, Penn Air or Boutique or whoever?
I'm not really sure of their timing. I think we'll know a little better when we see them in Washington, but they wanted to give this a 6-month window from the time they accepted, sent out the proposals for bids until they make until the service starts. So in case need to go rebid or we need to extend the comment period. So I'm thinking, a couple of months they might make a decision.
Okay. Any further questions? Discussion? Is anybody ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend Peninsula Airways to the U.S. Department of Transportation to be the essential air service provider for Liberal, Kansas.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Harrison with a second by Vice Mayor Aragon. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is City Manager's report. Mr. Hall.
Mayor, Commissioners, just a brief update. I know Daniel has been in discussions with KDOT on the 15th Street and Persian intersection. Currently, at the time, the KDOT felt that as far as stop signs, and the amount of accidents that were at that location would not warrant stop signs. It is one of those that we are continuing discussions, and we'll keep talking back and forth with KDOT as far as their assistance and recommendations of things that we could possibly do. But let you know that on an update.
Just a second. I did notice some traffic count things on 15th Street. What are those for?
I'm not sure, but they did put the counterclock in there, but I'm not sure how much it was that.
KDOT did that?
The
City did. City. Okay, and you don't know what those traffic count, do you know what they're measuring for? Is that for? Because they're.
I think they're speeding the amount of vehicles that go through there.
Okay.
Usually it's in our 24-hour period, and that's what, it's traffic both ways. And now many vehicles will hopefully get a count how many vehicles pass that intersection. But the real question for KDOT was your north-south.
Okay.
Is usually they looked at is if you have 6,000 that go through that intersection, that warrants, something to be done. At 15th and Kansas Avenue, we roughly have 15,000 goes through that in a 24-hour period. So it is one of those, it's trying to see what that goes through actually there, or does it drop off or whatever. So we're just trying to get a better understanding of the intersection and what we can do that won't cause problems. They reminded that stoplights, even though they're necessary, they do present a potential hazard. And that's simply because you have people that try to make it through the yellow and speed up or whatever. There is a reminder to the commissioners, there is a Council of Governments meeting Thursday at 7 at the Seward County Community College. Another item I was going to bring up, staff has learned that we did receive a donation for the batting cages. Wish to thank William for that, but it is one of those we are trying to analyze when people could be what in the travel of kids. It is now that we are looking at it possibly and the cost of doing a split, that there would be certain cages in the softball area, and then the other cages for baseball would remain in Bluebonnet Park. And that's just looking, Cal Ripken has let us know that they will be using the ball complex 2 nights a week, and then we will be using it 4 nights a week for the younger players from June to July. So we're trying to do that, and what's accessible for kids that age to walk to get to those. There's really not enough room to situate parking and everything in a single time at the Cal Ripken, so it was looking at all of that being in one complex, which would be the softball. But there's a lot of things that we've got to take in consideration because of the, we'll just say, the allowance of alcohol from Memorial Day to November. And it would make a further distance for kids to walk. We open at 5:30, so that's still being worked on to let you know. Good news is received a donation that'll make some things possible that we'd like to put together for the commission.
So we can keep that's to build a new one and to keep the old one going too. That's
what we're looking at is we know that we can keep the old one, but as Commissioner Denoyer asked in the last meeting that we look into is as far as could there be some of that facility moved out, be it to baseball or be it to softball. And it is currently, it's basically split in half. 3 for baseball and 3 for softball. And, you know, we really want to look into how best service the kids and look at the cost of doing it.
And with the miniature golf out there, you're still going to utilize the
Well, and
area
that's
too.
one thing is the kids that mostly use this of age are, not a lot of kids are of driving age, so they would have to walk. And if we put it in the softball, then we do have the adult in the time of the year, and then it's managing. We felt the concession stand could service adults, get their tokens and do that, but we're also looking at the cost, and Daniel's helping us analyze that. We do have a potential location, but it's how can we do this and get the best bang for a buck and serve the most people. So anyway, just want to let you know the status of that.
Thank you.
Other than that, the departments, I want to thank, of course, all the department heads for working together. It is our busy time of the season. We are preparing for, in case we do get rain. We're started on our weed control, and I appreciate that. They're getting everything ready for when it starts up, but we have departments already mowing, and we do have weeds presenting a problem already. So I want to thank staff for communicating with each other and working well together and making things happen. But if there's any questions from the commission, I'd be glad to answer those.
Does the commission have questions for City Manager? Looks like we got off easy tonight. Thank you, Mark. Next item up on the agenda will be items from commissioners. We'll start with Commissioner Martinez.
I want to tell a couple of the staff members, I got calls last week, Highway 54 and around Clay Street. Thanked us for fixing that bump. So thank Daniel and the city staff. And also someone called about the golf course, that it looked real good out there. I don't know who all was involved in that. It was cleaned up and they said that was looking good. So thank you guys, everybody's hard work. And have a happy Easter coming up here.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Carlisle.
Thank you, city staff. I also want to give my condolences to Dr. Howard and his family. We lost a good surgeon last night, and it's real hard for Liberal to come up with doctors, so, you know, major condolences. That's it.
Commissioner Harrison.
I think it's all been said.
Vice Mayor Aragon.
I want to thank the city staff. Like Tony said, I've been getting some compliments too, and that's always good. Sometimes their phone calls aren't good, but it's really nice when they say the parks are looking good and everybody's out there working. And we had an issue here this last weekend at work where we had a problem getting rental equipment because they're so busy. There's so much construction going on. It's a good thing for Liberal, Kansas. When it's hard to get heavy equipment, that means that we're busy. So thank you all for everything you do. That's all I got.
But, I would just like to thank the citizens for coming out. I was at work and was unable to make, but I understand, Jackie, you could probably elaborate on this a little bit, but on St. Patrick's Day, the Senior Center offered free meals to the citizens, and well in excess of 100 people showed up to support the Senior Center and the new direction that they're taking.
Breakfast and lunch.
Breakfast and lunch, okay. And then would like to remind tomorrow, and commissioners, if you're available, over the lunch hour, it's March Meals with the Mayor at the Senior Center as well. You're all welcome to come and help serve the food and then enjoy a great meal afterwards. So that's at noon tomorrow.
You serve me?
I will. I will definitely do that. Just be careful. It might be hot when it comes up in your lap. So, I just do have a question, and I did tell Brad I would ask this. Brad, can you give us an update on Mary Frame Park equipment? I had received a phone call this morning about Mary Frame Park, and of course I didn't want to blindside him, so I gave him a heads up that I would be asking tonight. So anyway, yeah, come on up, Brad. received a call that a lot of the playground equipment right there on Highway 54 is still boarded up, and I know it's on our master plan, and Brad said he would give us an update on that.
And according to our master plan, everything's been budgeted, everything's there. I'm going to get with Bill when he gets back next week, and we'll put a plan in motion, and hopefully, I'm not saying early spring, but later spring, we'll try to get something together and get that taken care of.
Again, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, and we've seen some great progress here in the community here in the recent month. Danny's crew, Brad's crew worked well together from the golf course project through other things as well. And as we get into our busy season, I know there's going to be a lot of more collaborative efforts that we'll see. And I think this is a good time to be in Liberal. We can only pray for an upturn in the economy, not only here locally, but regionally. And hopefully good things will continue to come. So I want to thank staff for their dedication. I wanted to say this the other night at the State of the City address, and I firmly believe it, that of the workforce that we have here in Liberal, that we have gleaned the cream of the crop, and we have some of the best workers that we could ask for, because they not only do their jobs, but they own their jobs, and they take pride in what they do, and that makes us sitting up here, makes us look good. So I want to thank staff for that. With that being said, let's move on to agenda item number 18, that's the vouchers.
Can I just a minute?
Sure.
We had a lady walk in at 6:30.
Yes, I was teaching, so I didn't get here early. Sorry, I was at college.
Okay.
I had a concern.
Okay. Does the commission have any problem with allowing Ms. Roloff to speak? Please come forward,
Please.
state your name and address in an audible tone for the record.
Thank you. My name is Patty Roloff. I live at 809 Northwestern Avenue. My concern is the orange papers that have been put on all my vehicles. Concerning because one of them is on a driveway, that's fine, of course, but the other one is on a rock driveway, doesn't have the railroad ties. I understand that, but it's been there for over 20-some years. And I have parking in the back of my yard for my children. I've made accommodations for them in the back in my yard. It's not in the alley. But my concern is not only just for me, but there are several people on Western that have nowhere else to park or pine. I'm thinking of elderly people that they don't have the income. They're on a fixed budget and they have nothing. Yeah, you say P-Rock, that's fine, and maybe it's not real costly, but somebody's got to put it there, somebody's got to put the railroad ties, somebody's got to lay it. They don't have the income. So is there a grandfather clause that could be put in there? I mean, my driveway's been there for over 20-some years. We've lived there 22. That's my concern is...
My guess is this was, I think, an attempt to notify...
By August 25th, we are starting to get tickets. I understand that.
And like I say, I would probably call the department and ask them if you're already in compliance with what you've said.
My concern is not just mine.
Well, and the others are welcome too. But I think it is throughout the city is that we have a terrible problem which poses a safety factor for front yard parking. And that is simply you have emergency vehicles. If you have people parking in their yard, on an unimproved surface, then their access to your home is limited in case they need to respond. Now, there's other things that need to be done, but it is an approved surface, and I suggest that you give them a call and see if you are in compliance or if others are in compliance, and if you have an established drive for 20 years, it is probably close to compliance. It is just that we do have a terrible problem with front yard parking throughout the city, not just yours.
I was going to say, check Western. I don't see any, I guess, on what you're saying, I guess.
Well,
we don't have any place to park. We can't park on the street. It's not like Pine.
Well, and what you're parking on might be an approved surface, but do give them a call. And the commission passed this, with the intention to help property owners.
I understand that.
And also for the safety reasons. But they could probably look at your property and give you a good idea.
And I believe, Mr. Kirk, you visited with Ms. Roloff, or you left a message as well? Okay.
No, you left a message to call, which I did 3 times afterwards, and there was no answer. So I'm sorry, I tried that same day.
You know, one suggestion I would just pose to the commission for discussion at budget time is we have emergency senior housing grants that we fund out of the 1 cent sales tax that we've seen seniors take advantage of, that we could possibly tweak some of those to include gravel.
Well, I gotta
maybe get some churches or somebody to come and help put that in for those that meet those qualifications.
Before the meeting, I had a conversation with our attorney here. Got a visit by a lady that lives in the house, been there 99 years, driveway's been there 99 years. She comes home from her triple bypass, finds one of them letters on her door, and not only does she have this gravel driveway for 99 years, she lives on a gravel street.
Well, and I think the attempt is to be fair to all, that's why the notices were put out, is that it does give them time to contact us. It does give, should they need to do something, time to do that instead of just going out and enforce it. So I think by this orange letter please call us if there's something that you have questions about or we need to look into. But it is one of those, there's a lot of people that are on approved services, but they still see that notice to sit there, and it was throughout. It wasn't to sit there and distinguish, you're in compliance, you're not. It was to let everybody know that there is a concern. We do that with our grease. We do that when we have main breaks, is we try to notify people instead of going up and taking action in August or whenever dated time, and then say, I'm sorry, we didn't give you any time to contact us or, work with us on your possible problem.
And these notices were not given out by the code department. Police officers put these orange notices on all vehicles that were parked on something other than concrete, and then that's where it was an information only to get them to check to make sure they were in compliance. So anybody that received one can contact, and then code enforcement would come out and check and say, hey, you're fine, or this is what you need to do. But I feel for the 100-year-old lady, because if she's lived there 99 years, she's got to be at least 100.
No, she's 75, but the house is 99 years old,
But yeah.
And that should be conveyed in the newspaper. It should be conveyed on the bottom of this paper. There's not.
It will be in the newspaper. The press release went out today. I received it this morning at the radio station. It is up on our website. And then also it went out to the newspapers as well. But that is just a information only notification. That it's not a warning or anything like that.
That's not how it comes across, sir.
So, thank you for your time. All right, agenda item number 18, vouchers.
I make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $517,129.78.
Motion by Vice Mayor Aragon. Is there a second to approve?
Second.
Vouchers. Second by Commissioner Martinez. Any discussion on the vouchers? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Meeting adjourned.